Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and fellow dreamer, today I want to talk to you about something we all wonder about at some point in our lives, the meaning of life. We often search for it in grand moments, in extraordinary experiences, and in places far away. But what if I told you that the meaning of life is not always found in what we expect? Life is not a linear path. It doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes it feels like a series of detours, unexpected turns, and challenges we never signed up for. But each of those moments, the ones that seem like obstacles, are actually the ones that shape us. I remember a time in my life when everything changed. I was forced to pause, to reflect, and to look at life from a perspective I'd never imagined before. It wasn't easy, it wasn't smooth, but it taught me something so powerful that I carry it with me every day. The first lesson life taught me was this: true strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about embracing it. It's about showing up for yourself even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. Life isn't just about achieving success or reaching some grand destination. It's about learning to live fully in each moment, no matter how difficult that moment may seem. I learned that life isn't about perfection. It's about being human. It's about falling and then getting back up. It's about the courage to keep moving forward, even when the future looks uncertain. It's about finding meaning in the everyday, in the small moments, like a smile from a stranger, the warmth of the sun on your face, or the comfort of a hug from someone you love. That's our way to keep living. And sometimes meaning comes from the simplest act of kindness, even when you think it won't make a difference. But it does. Every gesture, every word of encouragement, every moment of love and compassion, it all adds up. We find meaning in how we treat each other, how we choose to respond to the world around us. The second lesson I learned is that there is no single meaning of life. Life isn't a one-size-fits-all story. Each of us is writing our own narrative, and that story is uniquely ours to tell. You might find your purpose in your work, in your family, in your passions, or in your quiet moments of reflection. And that's okay. The journey to discovering that meaning doesn't need to be rushed, nor does it need to look like anyone else's. As I stand here today, I realize that the meaning of life isn't just about achieving greatness for yourself. It's about lifting others along the way. It's about using your voice to inspire change, about turning your struggles into lessons that can guide others on their own paths. It's about the collective experience of being human, together. We often look for grand signs, for dramatic moments of clarity, but the truth is, meaning often whispers to us in the quietest of ways. It's found in the way we treat ourselves, in how we embrace our vulnerabilities, and in our willingness to let go of the things that no longer serve us. So don't rush to find all the answers. Don't be afraid to stumble. Don't think that life will always be a straight road, because it won't be. But know this: you are enough, just as you are, with all your imperfections, your struggles, and your dreams. That, my friends, is where the meaning lies. Strength isn't something that comes naturally to most people. It's not an innate quality we are born with, something we automatically know how to wield. Instead, it's something we build within ourselves, piece by piece, often through the most difficult experiences we'll ever face. We think of strength as power, as endurance, as being able to push through anything without breaking down. But that's a misconception. True strength doesn't come from pretending to be invincible, from suppressing our emotions or our pain. True strength comes from confronting those very things, the fear, the grief, the vulnerability, and choosing to rise even when we feel like we can't. In our culture, we often glorify the idea of toughness. We see images of people who seem to have it all together, who handle every situation with grace, never faltering, never showing weakness. We hold these images up as the standard to which we should aspire, but in reality, strength is not about pretending to have all the answers or never admitting that you don't have it figured out. It's not about avoiding the difficult emotions or experiences that inevitably come our way. Strength is about embracing those things, leaning into them, and allowing them to transform us into someone more resilient. When we face challenges in life, whether it's an illness, the loss of a loved one, a personal failure, or something else, it's natural to feel weak, to want to hide away from the world, to believe that we can't go on. In those moments, it's easy to think that strength is something that only other people have, something reserved for the strong and capable among us. But in truth, strength is built in the moments when we feel the most broken. It's forged in the fire of adversity, when we are forced to confront ourselves in ways we never expected. The process isn't clean and it's rarely comfortable, but it's in those moments of deep discomfort that we begin to develop the strength that will carry us through the rest of our lives. I've learned that the most painful experiences are often the ones that teach us the most about who we really are. It's in the moments of loss, of confusion, of heartbreak that we are given the opportunity to rebuild ourselves, to redefine what strength means to us. And paradoxically, it is through embracing our vulnerability that we begin to discover our true strength. Think about it. How many times have you been told that you need to stay strong in the face of adversity? We all hear this phrase often as though it's some kind of magic solution to help us get through hard times. But what does it really mean to stay strong? Is it about never showing emotion? Is it about putting on a brave face even when our hearts are breaking? Or is it about something much deeper? About acknowledging our pain, allowing ourselves to feel it, and then choosing to move forward despite it. The most courageous thing you can do when you're going through something difficult is to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to admit that you're not okay, to let yourself feel the full weight of your emotions, no matter how overwhelming they may be. We often think that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful things we can do. It's in our moments of vulnerability that we open ourselves up to healing, to growth, and to connection with others. When we allow ourselves to be human, to feel the full spectrum of emotions and to experience the pain and suffering that come with life, we allow ourselves to tap into a strength that we never knew we had. I remember a time in my own life when I faced an incredibly challenging situation, a moment when I felt like I had no strength left. I was in a place of deep emotional pain, grappling with loss and uncertainty, and I felt completely defeated. I was exhausted, both physically and mentally, and it seemed like the weight of everything was too much to bear. In those moments, it felt like the easy thing to do would be to give up, to retreat from the world and hide away. But somehow, through the pain and through the tears, I found the strength to keep going. And that strength didn't come from pretending that everything was fine or trying to push through without acknowledging my pain. It came from allowing myself to feel everything, the grief, the sadness, the fear, and then choosing to keep moving forward, one step at a time. It's easy to forget that life doesn't always follow the trajectory we want it to. Sometimes we face things that are completely beyond our control, and we're forced to adapt, to find a new way forward when the path we thought we were on has been completely altered. In these moments, it's easy to think that we're not strong enough, that we can't handle whatever comes next. But the truth is, we often don't give ourselves enough credit. When we face hardship, we have a choice. We can either give in to the fear or we can embrace the challenge and use it as an opportunity to grow. strength isn't something that's given to us all at once. It's not something that we wake up with one day. It's something that's developed over time through the choices we make, the way we respond to hardship, and the way we learn to carry our burdens. Every time we face a difficult situation and choose to face it head on, we become stronger. Every time we pick ourselves up after a setback, we add another layer of resilience to our being. And every time we choose to be vulnerable and embrace our emotions, we become more whole. But it's important to remember that strength doesn't look the same for everyone. For some people, it may mean speaking out about their pain, sharing their story with the world. For others, it may mean quietly reflecting and finding peace within themselves. The beauty of strength is that it's personal. It's shaped by our experiences, our values, and the way we see the world. There's no one right way to be strong. The most important thing is that we honor our own journey and we give ourselves the grace to heal and grow at our own pace. Another aspect of strength that I've come to realize is that it's not just about how we deal with our own struggles, but how we respond to the struggles of others. When we see someone else going through something difficult, our natural instinct might be to offer advice, to try and fix their pain. But true strength lies in simply being present for them, in offering compassion without judgment. It's in listening, in validating their experience, and in being there as a source of support without trying to take away their pain. Strength isn't about solving problems for others. It's about walking alongside them, letting them know they're not alone in their struggles. At its core, strength is about resilience. It's about knowing that we will face hardships, but also knowing that we have the ability to overcome them. It's about believing in ourselves even when everything around us seems uncertain. And most importantly, it's about trusting the process. Trusting that the moments of struggle and pain are not the end of our story. They're just a chapter, a part of the journey that will ultimately lead us to a place of greater wisdom and understanding. The more I reflect on my own journey, the more I realize that the true measure of strength isn't in how we avoid pain or suffering. It's in how we navigate it, how we allow it to shape us, and how we rise from it. Life will never be free of difficulty, but it's in those moments of difficulty that we truly discover who we are and what we're capable of. The strength that we develop from our struggles isn't just a shield to protect us from the world. It's the foundation upon which we build our future, the source of our resilience, and the key to living a life that's both meaningful and powerful. Life is not about perfection. We often hear phrases like, be perfect, never show weakness, or always be your best self. We grow up with expectations, both from others and ourselves, that we should always have it together. But the truth is, life is far from perfect. It's messy, unpredictable, and at times overwhelming. Embracing that imperfection is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful acknowledgement of what it means to be human. We tend to think that strength lies in our ability to present a flawless version of ourselves to the world. We try to hide our mistakes, cover up our flaws, and present an image that we think others will admire. But perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, no matter how hard they try. When we focus too much on the idea of perfection, we not only set ourselves up for disappointment, but we also miss out on the beauty of the imperfections that make us who we are. Our mistakes, our flaws, and our failures are what shape us. They are the experiences that push us to grow, to learn, and to evolve. It's through our struggles that we find our true strength. Perfection doesn't teach us resilience or empathy. Perfection doesn't help us build the character necessary to face life's most difficult challenges. It's in those moments of imperfection, when we're not at our best, when we're vulnerable, or when we stumble, that we find opportunities for growth. Think about the times in your life when things didn't go as planned. Perhaps you experienced a failure, a setback, or a disappointment. In those moments, you may have felt like giving up, or you may have been embarrassed by how far you had fallen from your goals. But those moments are often the most valuable. They are the moments that offer us the chance to reflect, to understand our weaknesses, and to begin the process of healing and improving. Without imperfection, there is no room for progress. There is no opportunity for reflection, no lessons to be learned. Perfection is a myth, and it's important that we let go of that idea. We don't have to be flawless to be worthy of love, respect, or success. In fact, it's often our imperfections that connect us to others. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, when we show our true selves, including our flaws, we create authentic connections. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with humanity. They connect with those raw moments where we're honest about our struggles, our failures, and our imperfections. That's where true strength lies, being open about who we are in all our messy glory. The pressure to be perfect is something that can be paralyzing. It often stops us from taking risks or pursuing our dreams because we fear that we might fail or make mistakes along the way. But here's the thing, failure is a necessary part of the process. Without it, we don't grow. Think about the people who inspire you most. They're not the ones who have never failed. They're the ones who have fallen, learned from it, and kept going. Their stories are full of setbacks, lessons learned, and resilience. They didn't give up because they weren't perfect. They kept moving forward because they understood that perfection is unattainable and that progress comes from imperfection. When we focus on the idea of being perfect, we limit ourselves. We create walls around our potential because we're so afraid of stepping outside of the narrow box that we've built for ourselves. But life isn't confined to a box. It's full of opportunities, risks, and unknowns. If we allow ourselves the freedom to be imperfect, we also give ourselves the freedom to explore, to experiment, and to fail forward. Perfection would only hold us back from discovering who we truly are and what we're capable of achieving. It's also important to recognize that perfection doesn't serve others. When we are overly focused on being flawless, we become disconnected from the very people we aim to inspire or help. Perfection can create a barrier between ourselves and others, making it harder to relate, to understand, or to connect. But when we allow ourselves to show our true selves, flaws, mistakes, vulnerabilities, and all, we make it easier for others to feel seen and heard. We create a space for them to embrace their own imperfections without judgment. And in doing so, we foster a culture of empathy, acceptance, and support. Life's imperfections don't make us weak, they make us real. We should stop seeking perfection and instead focus on being authentic. That means embracing our flaws and mistakes, accepting that they are part of the journey, and understanding that they don't define us. Instead, it's how we respond to those imperfections, how we learn, how we grow, and how we choose to move forward that truly defines us. If we can let go of the need for perfection and start embracing the beauty of imperfection, we unlock a new level of freedom. We no longer have to worry about constantly measuring ourselves against impossible standards. We can focus on becoming the best versions of ourselves, not through perfection, but through progress. We can celebrate the little victories, the moments of growth, and the lessons learned along the way. Perfection may seem like an ideal to strive for, but it's important to remember that life is about the journey, not the destination. It's about learning, evolving, and becoming better through the imperfect moments. It's about letting go of the idea that we need to be flawless to be worthy, and instead recognizing that our imperfections are what make us unique, human, and beautiful. Stop striving for perfection. Embrace the imperfections, the messiness, and the realness of life. Allow yourself to grow through your mistakes and challenges. And remember that it's not about how perfect you are. It's about how you choose to live authentically and boldly, imperfections and all. The meaning of life is unique to each individual, and that's something we often overlook. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of success, beauty, and achievement, it's easy to feel as though there's a standard or a universal purpose that we should be striving for. We see the people around us pursuing their careers, their goals, their passions, and it's easy to think that their path is the right one, the one we should follow. But the truth is, there is no one-size-fits-all meaning of life. Each of us is on our own journey. with their own set of experiences, desires, and dreams. The idea that we must find a single grand meaning or purpose can be overwhelming. It's as though society has handed us a script, one that tells us what success looks like and what we should be working toward. But if we're always chasing someone else's definition of success, we risk losing sight of our own unique purpose. We begin to define ourselves by other people's standards. And we forget that the most fulfilling life is one that we create for ourselves. It's about discovering what brings us joy, what makes us feel alive, and what aligns with our values. Life's meaning isn't something to be discovered in a book or through a set of instructions. It's something we must explore, uncover, and shape through our own experiences. When we stop trying to conform to someone else's idea of what life should be and start paying attention to our own passions, fears, and desires, we open ourselves up to a more authentic understanding of life's meaning. For some, the purpose might be found in their work, in creating something meaningful, or in the impact they have on the world around them. For others, it might be found in the relationships they nurture, the way they care for their loved ones, or the joy they find in everyday moments. There is no right or wrong answer. It's about understanding what resonates with you, what makes you feel connected to something greater than yourself. As we navigate life's ups and downs, we often find ourselves questioning what our purpose is. This is completely natural, especially in moments of difficulty or uncertainty. There are times when we feel lost, when we wonder if we're on the right path or if we're wasting our time chasing something that doesn't matter. But these moments of doubt don't mean that we've lost our way. They are simply part of the process of self-discovery. It's in these moments of questioning that we gain clarity. It's when we struggle that we begin to understand who we truly are, what we truly want, and how we want to show up in the world. The process of discovering our personal meaning in life is ongoing, and it's rarely a straightforward journey. Sometimes we get caught up in the belief that we should know exactly what we're meant to do, that we should have it all figured out by a certain age. But the reality is that our purpose can evolve just as we do. What we care about today might not be the same thing that matters to us tomorrow. Our experiences shape our values, and as we grow and change, so too does our understanding of what brings us fulfillment. This doesn't mean we're lost or uncertain. It means we're growing, and that's a beautiful thing. We don't have to have all the answers right away, because the meaning of life is not a destination, but a journey. In a world that's constantly telling us to be more, to do more, to achieve more, it's easy to forget that life's meaning can be found in simplicity. We're often so focused on achieving big goals and finding grand purposes that we overlook the small moments, the little joys, the everyday experiences that actually make life worthwhile. The quiet moments spent with friends or family, the peace of a morning cup of coffee, the satisfaction of a job well done. These are the things that often get lost in the noise of our busy lives. But they are just as important, if not more so, than the big accomplishments we chase after. When we realize that meaning can be found in the ordinary, we start to see the beauty in the mundane. Life's significance isn't always found in grand gestures or life-changing events. Sometimes it's found in the routine, in the small acts of kindness, in the way we show up for ourselves and others every day. By focusing on these moments and being present in them, we begin to experience a deeper sense of purpose, one that's not dependent on external validation or achievement, but on our connection to the world and to ourselves. The meaning of life also isn't fixed. It's something that can shift depending on where we are in our journey. We may find that the things we once thought were important no longer hold the same weight. And that's okay. It's part of the process of growing and evolving. As we move through different stages of life, our perspectives change, and what once seemed like the ultimate goal might no longer feel as relevant. And that's where the beauty lies. Life's meaning is flexible, adaptable, and personal. It's not about finding a one-size-fits-all answer, but about continuously exploring, evolving, and connecting with what truly matters to us in the moment. The meaning of life is not something that's defined by others or even by the society we live in. It's something we define for ourselves. We each have the power to decide what gives our lives purpose and direction. And sometimes that means letting go of the pressure to have it all figured out and simply allowing ourselves the space to explore, to experience, and to learn along the way. Life's meaning is not about arriving at a destination, but about embracing the journey with all of its twists, turns, and moments of clarity. It's about finding what makes us feel alive and understanding that it's okay if that looks different from someone else's path. Meaning is often found in the small acts of kindness and love that we give and receive from others. In a world that can feel chaotic and overwhelming, it's easy to forget that the most significant impacts we can have on one another aren't always grand gestures or life-changing events. Sometimes it's the quiet moments, the small exchanges, and the simple acts of care that leave the most lasting impressions. The way we treat each other, the compassion we show, and the kindness we offer often become the threads that connect us, providing meaning and purpose in our daily lives. It's easy to overlook these small moments, especially when we're caught up in the rush of our busy lives. We're constantly moving from one task to the next, trying to meet deadlines, chase success, and keep up with the demands of work and personal responsibilities. In the process, we often neglect the importance of just being present for the people around us. We forget that the little things, like a smile, a compliment, a word of encouragement, can have an enormous impact on someone else's life. It doesn't take much to brighten someone's day, to offer a moment of kindness, to let them know they are seen and valued. These acts of kindness don't have to be grand or expensive. They don't require us to sacrifice our time or resources in any extreme way. In fact, the most meaningful gestures are often the simplest. It can be as small as holding the door open for a stranger, offering a genuine compliment, or listening to someone when they need to talk. It's the way we show up for people in moments of vulnerability, the way we offer a helping hand when they're struggling, or the way we provide emotional support when they need it most. It's the little things that often have the most profound impact on the people around us, because they demonstrate that we care, that we're willing to take a moment to be present and offer love in whatever way we can. There's something incredibly powerful about showing love, even in small doses. Love doesn't always have to be an intense, overwhelming emotion. It can be as simple as offering a kind word to someone who looks like they're having a rough day, or taking a moment to appreciate the people in your life. Love is not just about grand declarations or gestures. It's about showing up consistently in both big and small ways. It's in the daily moments of care, of support, and of connection. The love we give and receive doesn't need to be dramatic or extraordinary. It's the quiet, everyday acts that often mean the most. What's remarkable about these small acts of kindness is that they create a ripple effect. When we show love to someone, they often feel inspired to pass it on. It's a simple exchange that spreads outward, creating a network of care and connection. When we offer kindness, we not only brighten someone else's day, but we also make the world a little bit warmer, a little bit more compassionate. This ripple effect is something that can transform our communities, our relationships, and even our own sense of purpose. It's the recognition that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to make a difference. The beauty of these small acts of kindness is that they don't require us to be perfect or to have everything figured out. We don't need to have a grand plan or a specific purpose to offer love and kindness. Often it's the moments when we're least expecting them, when we're tired, overwhelmed, or feeling vulnerable ourselves, that these acts can be the most impactful. It's in these moments of shared humanity where we recognize that we all have our struggles and challenges, that we can connect with others on a deeper level. By offering kindness in these moments, we remind one another that we are not alone, that we are all in this together. And it's not just about offering kindness to others, it's about being kind to ourselves as well. Often we are our own harshest critics. We push ourselves to do more, be more, and achieve more without stopping to show ourselves the same love and compassion that we show to others. But the truth is, self-compassion is just as important as compassion for others. If we are to offer kindness and love to the world, we must first learn to offer it to ourselves. By acknowledging our own needs, forgiving ourselves for our mistakes, and accepting ourselves as we are, we create a foundation of love that extends outward. Love is not just an emotion, it's a practice, a daily commitment to showing up for ourselves and others in meaningful ways. The meaning we find in life is often born from the connections we create, the bonds we form, and the love we give and receive. It's the relationships we build, the care we show, and the compassion we offer that ultimately give our lives depth and significance. When we can move through the world with a heart open to love, both for ourselves and for others, we begin to see that meaning is not always something that we seek or achieve. It's something that we create in the way we live, the way we treat each other, and the way we show up for the people who matter most. In the end, it's these simple acts of kindness and love that remind us of the shared humanity that unites us all, giving our lives meaning in ways we often don't fully realize until we take a moment to stop and reflect. The journey to meaning is ongoing, and it's okay to stumble and take your time. In a world where we are often expected to have everything figured out, it's easy to feel like we're falling behind when we don't have all the answers. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that success looks a certain way, that happiness is a destination, and that we should be moving forward at a certain pace. But the reality is that life is not a race. And the journey to finding meaning is not about checking off boxes or reaching a particular endpoint. It's about experiencing the process of growth, learning, and discovery, and recognizing that it's okay not to have everything neatly mapped out. Too often we get caught up in the idea that our path should be linear, that there's a right way to live our lives, and that anything other than that path is a failure. We look around and see others moving ahead, making strides, achieving their goals, and it's easy to think we're falling short or doing something wrong. We think we should be further along or more accomplished. But the truth is, the journey to meaning doesn't look the same for everyone. And there is no universal timeline that dictates when we should have figured everything out. Some people take longer to find their purpose, while others seem to know exactly what they want from a young age. The important thing to remember is that your journey is your own, and it's okay if it doesn't match anyone else's. We live in a world where instant gratification is often encouraged, and we're constantly urged to keep moving forward, always striving for the next thing, the next accomplishment. There's little room for reflection or slowing down, and we're often made to feel like we're behind if we haven't reached a particular milestone. But growth takes time, and finding meaning is a gradual process. Sometimes it's about taking a step back to reevaluate where you are, to understand what's important to you, and to allow yourself the space to grow and change. Meaning isn't something you can rush into or force. It's something that unfolds over time, through trial and error, through moments of doubt and clarity, and through the experiences that shape you along the way. There's a lot of pressure in our society to have a clear sense of purpose, to know what we're supposed to be doing with our lives, and to be working relentlessly toward a particular goal. But the reality is that we don't always know exactly where we're headed, and that's okay. Life is filled with unexpected twists and turns, and sometimes the most meaningful moments. It's easy to feel like we're not where we're supposed to be, but the truth is that there is no right place to be. Each phase of life is part of the journey, and it's all meaningful in its own way, even if it doesn't always feel that way in the moment. The pressure to constantly be progressing, to be achieving, and to be moving forward can make us forget that it's okay to be uncertain, to take breaks, and to not always have a clear direction. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is take the time to rest, to reflect, and to allow yourself to simply be. It's through these moments of pause that we often discover the clarity we need to move forward. And sometimes it's in the spaces between our big achievements that we find the most profound insights. The journey to meaning isn't a race, and there's no timeline for when you should have everything figured out. It's also important to remember that stumbling, failing, and making mistakes are an integral part of the journey. We often try to avoid failure, seeing it as a sign that we're not on the right path or that we're not good enough. But failure is not the end. It's a part of the process of growth and discovery. It's through our stumbles that we learn the most about ourselves, that we gain resilience, and that we gain the clarity needed to move forward. Every time we fail, we get a little bit closer to understanding what truly matters to us and what doesn't. We refine our goals, adjust our direction, and become more in tune with what we need in order to feel fulfilled. Embracing failure as part of the journey to meaning allows us to see it not as something to fear, but as something to learn from. It's also crucial to understand that the search for meaning doesn't always follow a clear path. Sometimes it's messy and we may not always know what comes next. We may find ourselves in periods of uncertainty, unsure of where to go or what to do. But these moments of doubt are just as valuable as moments of clarity. They allow us to step back and assess our lives, to think about what we truly want and to explore new possibilities. These moments of feeling lost can ultimately lead us to the discoveries that will help us move forward, but only if we allow ourselves the space to experience them without judgment. The journey to meaning is an ongoing process, and it's okay if it takes time. We live in a world that often expects quick results, but finding meaning in life is rarely something that happens overnight. It's something we build over time through experiences, relationships, and reflections. It's about allowing yourself to evolve and change as you grow. It's about being patient with yourself, trusting that even if you don't have everything figured out right now, you're exactly where you need to be in this moment. Life is not a race, and there's no shame in taking your time to discover what truly brings you purpose and fulfillment. It's not about achieving everything quickly or perfectly. It's about embracing the journey with all its twists, turns, and moments of uncertainty. It's about giving yourself the grace to stumble, to pause, and to reflect as you find your way. Meaning is not something to be rushed or forced. It's something that unfolds as you continue to grow, evolve, and embrace the unique path that is yours. Take your time and know that every step, every stumble, and every moment of uncertainty is an important part of your journey.